Hello and welcome back to another video. This is your West Ham United versus Brentford match preview. Sorry this is late. This was meant to come out on a Friday. But obviously you had the video about the Europa League, so listen, we're trying to just ship out as many videos as we can, but make sure to like the video and subscribe. And we're trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. Sorry, there's a notification on my phone. I've got a Premier League notifications as I'm seeing it. Palace have just gone 2-0 up against Burnley. I am recording this at 4:30 on a Saturday, and you're seeing this at Saturday evening, which is very risky because there is two games that are gonna probably be kicking off as soon as I upload this. But I'm just gonna go through the West Ham Brentford game. This won't be as long as other previews usually are, but we're gonna go through David Moyes' press conference a little bit, and we're just gonna keep talking. Obviously, David Moyes, as usual, does his press conferences every game. We're not going to talk about the contract situation in this video because it's getting boring. It's getting boring. I don't know how people manage to squeeze a headline out of it, but well, they managed to squeeze a headline out of anything. But a tough opponent in Brentford. Brentford have always been a tough opponent. Thomas Frank has done a really good job. He has done a really good job. But, I mean, with Brentford especially, we've never beaten them in the Premier League. We beat them in the FA Cup last year, and we beat them in pre-season when they first got promoted. But that's pretty much it. Both of them have been 1-0. Both of them have been Ben Rama strikes. We haven't got Ben Rama this game. If you guys remember home at Brentford last year, it was not good. That was around the time where our first was like Moyes out throughout his second period of time at West Ham. But that was a weird game. That was a weird game because I don't know what we were doing. That was the second game coming back from the World Cup. Played three at the back, coming back from the Arsenal game where we didn't get battered, but it was just weird. That was a weird game as well. The 3-1 loss. Went to three at the back, played Paquetá next to Rice, Skamaka on his own again, Cresswell in a three at the back, which was terrible. And that was when everyone was kind of miserable. I actually couldn't make it to that game because of trains. But that was a Friday night game. And luckily we won on live. But from what we were watching and from the players, he legit couldn't get the best out of the players that he had at the time. And even then, I probably said some things like, get Moyes out. But even during last season, it was like, just do it this summer. I think what I've come to realisation when it comes to having a manager out is I'd like whoever to come into West Ham to have a pre-season. And I think that's the same thing I want because there's no point sacking Moyes now. But I just don't think there should be a new contract on the table. And I think just behind the scenes, you should probably just try and get future targets out. I mean, obviously, Moyes has talked about his contract situation, but going back to the Brentford game, we haven't beaten them. I remember the back end of the last season, we was at their ground and again couldn't win ahead of that game. But we played a predominantly second team, so we can rest players for Alkmaar away for the second leg. We lost 3-2 at Brentford this year, and I don't see a win. I don't think. Just because we haven't won in a while doesn't mean we're going to bounce back. We've been waiting for the bounce back since Bristol City. So we've been battered by Arsenal. We've been... I can't even say battered by Man United, but we've lost. We've lost to Man United. We lost to Nottingham Forest, who are losing to Villa right now as we speak, and I'm pretty sure Fulham are beating Man United. I don't know if any other notification will come up on my phone. Everton have gone 1-0 up against Brighton. That helps us. That definitely helps us. It's a good result for us. So, at least some positive there. But, yeah, as Moyes said, Brentford is always going to be a tough opponent. And Ivan Toney has been back for a few games. He's settled back really well. They won away at Wolves. They didn't play badly against Man City, both home and away from what I saw. I think they played against Liverpool. I'm not sure. Did they play against Liverpool? I could have swore They played Liverpool. Yeah, they played Liverpool last week. I didn't watch that game because I was working that day. But I don't see a win, and I see that out of form Kurt Zuma and a terrible Naya Faged. And I see and Mbumo. Luckily, Brian Mbumo is not here. Brian Mbumo, whatever his name is not ready for this game. But Neil Mope likes a goal against us, and Ivan Toney likes a goal against everyone. But I'm pretty sure he's scored against us a couple of times now, and that front two could be interesting. You never know. I think Neil Mope was actually benched for the last game, so maybe you won't play him. But I think if I was Thomas Frank, I would play Tony and Mope. They're hard to break down 3-5-2. It's going to be an ache to watch. That's for sure. Just whether we have the ball, whether we don't have the ball. They're very direct at times. They can play out at times. And I think the only way to get the ball off Brentford is to press them, which is something we don't do. There's no point inviting pressure on when they've got Ivan Toney. We don't deal well with crosses into the box either. But going on to the next section of the press conference, it says, using a clear week in a busy period. I hope it keeps busy near the end of the season because that will mean we've got more European football. So that's what we're hoping for. We'll all enjoy the chance to have a little break in between fixtures. We can train well and prepare for the game. So hopefully the players are ready and fresh to go for the next game. Basic stuff. Talking about facing Freiburg again, aiming for more European success. The good thing about that is we've always known that we've got European football after Christmas. It's something he's been very consistent on season in, season out. So he's always aimed for one section of Europe at a time. Fair enough. It's the third year in a row that we've done it, and we're really pleased to have it. Once you get this far, you're just hoping you can try to get through to the next round. That's true. We've had a brilliant few years in Europe. That's true. So we'll enjoy this one as well. I fucking hope so. I've got my ticket for the Freiburg game. Obviously, there's no rush on a new contract, and that was pretty much it from what the club website has said. Obviously, Thomas Frank has given his praise to David Moyes as well. Let's talk about lineups, man. Let's talk about lineups. Let's talk about who can line up for this game, who can potentially start. Now, if you remember from the Nottingham Forest game, which I actually didn't watch, as I said, I was working, but I think it was Areola in goal. I think Soufal, Zuma, and Gerd Emerson. I think it was Alvarez and Phillips. Obviously, Phillips is banned for this game. Apparently, he's out for one game. Because I think it was the second yellow that he got. So he'll be back for Everton away. And James Ward-Prowse in the 10, which I don't want him to play in the 10. He's not a 10. Paquetá is back in contention, which wasn't in the press conference quotes, but I saw that surfacing around, so he'll be in contention to be in the squad. And I was discussing it with a couple of people today. I was somewhere today where I was with a couple of West Ham fans, and I think a good point was raised, the fact that Kudus, or mainly Mohamed Kudus, doesn't look like he's fully fit. And can't put too much pressure on Mohamed Kudus because this is still his first season. That's why I didn't go too overboard when he was doing so well. And when it comes to Lucas Paquetá, with him being in contention, obviously we rely a lot on Paquetá, Mohamed Kudus and Jared Bowen as them being like the three guys, can you please get us out sort of thing. Obviously Antonio's coming back and we'll talk about Antonio in just a second, but it looks like even Kudus is a bit injured. Obviously, he was injured before the AFCON and he had to carry Ghana. And unfortunately, the rest of Ghana are useless in that squad. So he got knocked out of that. And he hasn't really been the same since he came back from AFCON. Jared Bowen is not a striker. I've been saying this for a very long time. And even when it was working, I was letting it go a little bit. But you can see his positioning. He still gets goals from the right wing. When they're interchanging, when he's getting into those sort of spaces. Anyone that plays up front has to play like Antonio when it comes to playing up front for David Moyes at West Ham United. And with someone like Paquetá, he may give the ball away. He has his faults, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to creativity, we've clearly missed that. I don't agree with Don Hutchinson when he says that once we get him back, we Like, we can use that as like, well, he's using it as an excuse for why we're doing so bad. But can't rely on him either, in terms of can't put it all on him. And we rushed him back from injury, got injured at Arsenal, came back in Bristol City, got an assist, got injured again, and this is where we are. And in my opinion, I don't think Paquetá would have saved any of the games that we did lose. But these are all hypotheticals, so you never know either way when it comes to it being going towards you negatively or positively. But I just don't see it happening. But overall, I'm not really excited when it comes to West Ham United Brentford. I'm not excited in general when it comes to watching West Ham, if you're going purely watching West Ham. And when we talk about Antonio coming back, obviously he came back against Nottingham Forest, but he was out for so long, and the first thing Moyes did was start him. Now, he's clearly fine to start, but at the same time, have we rushed him back as well? Are we just mismanaging this whole squad that we have? Have we messed ourselves over because we've sold 2 players? I have no idea. But what I do know is that we rely on Antonio too much when it comes to sticky situations, constantly when it comes to the club. And I don't agree with playing him straight away, game in, game out. But what more choice do we have? Because Danny Ings shouldn't have been signed for this club. But Danny Ings didn't deserve to get dropped against Sheffield United. Neither did Maxwell Cornet. He scored the goal, for God's sakes. Doesn't mean he performed well, because I don't use scoring goals as a covering thing for people performing well. But what else do we have down the left wing? Now that Paquetá's back and Antonio's back, he's either going to play Kudus on the left, Paquetá in the middle, Bowen on the right, Antonio up front. Or it's going to be like Everton, where he plays Paquetá on the left, Kudus in the middle, Bowen on the right, Antonio up front. So it's either going to be Kudus or Paquetá on the left or the centre. Maybe they'll interchange. Maybe we might see a more fluid West Ham. But with the fact that Antonio likes to drift out wide, because that's part of what the system was usually based on, maybe that'll allow more players to get in the box. But I can see Thomas Souček coming back as well. I can see Paquetá being on the bench, and I can see it being a Kudus, Antonio, Bowen front three again, and instead of Phillips, it'll be Souček from Forest, and that's what I can see happening. And I don't want that to happen, but he's really, like, the manager's really frustrating me when it comes to watching, and I feel like I'm repeating myself week in, week out, but it is what it is. And that's going to be the end of the preview. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you are new. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me, and the email for the inquiries. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. Share it to someone who isn't subscribed. We've got stuff coming up in a week. And yeah, hopefully you'll get more consistent uploads to you. And maybe, hopefully, if I can sort the whole StreamYard thing out, we'll get more live streams out as well. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.